Conference, your source for JVM knowledge.
Okay, this talk is about our experience in the last month using Spring Boot and using Kotlin. Okay, this is going to talk about is start the track that is not about Ruby. Okay, and it's more or less an experience and a flow and data good, what we are using, why we are using that. That's the idea of the talk. Okay, how many people there know Spring Boot or use Spring Boot? Okay, and how many people know or use Kotlin? Okay, and it's people are using Kotlin and Spring Boot. This is good. Okay, it's possible that this talk is going to be at different levels. Okay, one level is could be people that doesn't know anything about Spring Boot, and they're going to do some tips or some recommendation to move to Kotlin or to move to Spring Boot to use. And the other one is how to use Kotlin, how we are using Kotlin, and what things do a special Kotlin to write backend code. Okay. For the people that don't know it, I'm Jorge Juan Barroso Carmona. You can call me Jorge Barroso, okay, or Jorge or Barroso, whatever you want. Okay, but call me. I am a developer because I am writing code in backend, in frontend, in server side, in mobile applications. Okay, and I Android GD. Okay, this is a recognition that we will say that I know a lot of Android, but I'm giving a talk about Kotlin and backend. Okay, this is my email. You can write everything what you want. You can send me an email. Sometimes take more time to reply, but please, if you say that, I can reply you. Oh, good. What's happened? The output resolution of the video source is changed. Really? I don't touch anything. Okay, I'll continue talking. And my Twitter is Felipe83, like the dolphin, okay, with my year. And if you like to follow me, follow please in Twitter and not in the street because it's creepy. This is if you like to give me feedback, this is the link. Okay. Please, feedback is always welcome, and it's the first time that I give this talk. The feedback for this talk is going to be really, really useful. I work in Karumi. Karumi is I'm going to talk in the close a bit how work Karumi, but Karumi is a small company. We are a consultants company, and we made course, and we made work, and a lot of things from this talk is from these guys. It's knowledge that I learned from these people that is working with me. Okay, and we have trainings. Okay, if you are with public trainings in our office or in other cities, or you are a company, you can call me. Research from New York and IBM research in Zurich. A lot of code a lot of knowledge I learned working with these guys. Okay, these are really, 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 really smart people. It's not everybody because this team is growing really, really, really fast. Okay, that we do is we create projects with the researchers. The researchers have an ideas, and we build a product over those ideas. Okay, it's an amazing job. I love it. And these guys are really, really smart people, okay? But we are going to start. Okay, why I like to change from Java and Spring Boot or Python and Django, that is the technology that I was using for right backend, to Kotlin and Spring Boot, okay? Why Kotlin? Do you know Larry Wall? This is the creator of Perl. He has a really good interview. Language, but it's an elephant in the room. Okay, you cannot say, okay, it's in everybody. Everybody's using, in every place you are working, and Java is there. You cannot move it out because it's there. But he said that, a quote, I love it, that is the computer languages differ not so much in what they make possible, in what they make easy. Okay, when we need to choose a language, we need to choose a technology or a framework, we say, okay, I like to use this framework for this one. And I am going to choose the framework or the language that's going to be easy, the task that I'm going to use. For example, if I want to develop a website, I'm going to choose something based in JavaScript because it's going to be easy for me, because the community, the blog posts, everything is thinking for that. And in the backend, for some configurations, we like to choose, in the past, Scala, right now Kotlin, sometimes Scala, sometimes Kotlin, sometimes Java, okay? Because we have configuration that we think that is going to be easier to write code in those technologies. And I love Kotlin. I think so. Arrive really, really, really strong and have some capabilities that I'm going to explain that made it to me really, really easy the application. This is going to be a really hardcore talk, okay? It's going to be a lot of code, but I'm going to try to do smooth, okay? First, all needed, okay? We like to have a backend system, have a framework that allow to us do really fast iterations, okay? If I like to create a new endpoint, I need to spend a few time, okay? I need to spend a few time for having this, okay? I like to write one feature every day or one feature every half day, something like that, okay? And for this reason, we use one of the reasons to choose a Spring, okay? Because it's really, really fast started, it's really fast create a project, it's really fast put in production, okay? I like to have a framework that made to me easy write tests, okay? We are based a lot in the quality, and our way to work is writing tests. If I have a framework that I cannot do in an easy way dependency injection, in an easy way mock reproduction, in an easy way end-to-end test, for me it's not a good framework. Okay, if the first thing that I view in a language and I view in a framework that I'm going to use is the testing. Is the testing is not easy, or if you don't have tools for write test, discard it. Okay, this is for us is so many important. A big community. Okay, when you like to go fast, when you like to use a framework, you need to use a library or a framework that have a big community. Okay, that you search and you find your problems, and if it's open source, it's maintained. If you like to do something that is not the good path, is well documented, something like that. Because if not, you are going to spend tons of time fixing things that are going to be easy in other frameworks, okay? A Spring and a Spring Boot have tons of years. It's a really, really standard server-side solution, and you have everything. You search any problem that you have, somebody have in the past, okay? And for me, this is really important. For me, for example, it's Kotlin, no, the other one, the JetBrains Kotlin server-side framework. And the community is not so big that Spring Boot, because you have 2 or 3 years, and it's possible a good solution in 1 year, in 2 years, but right now, for me, it's not really complete in some solutions. Okay, and we like to use static languages. Okay, this is because it is our approach. It's my opinion or our opinion. I like not write compiler test. I like have types. I like have compiler errors. You're going to check in the talk that we use a lot the compiler to reduce the number of tests, or to reduce the code that we are writing. Okay, and for us it's really important. Okay, if you are going to do a refactor, doing a refactor in a static language is easy, because the refactoring tools is going to be always easy in Kotlin or in Java or in Scala than in Python or in JavaScript. Okay, and for me this is really important. It is important because when the code base grows, when you have something, you are building something, for example, a backend code that you are thinking that is going to scale, and this is going to grow really, really, really fast, you like to have the security that when more people enter or when you are writing more code, it's not going to broken. And when you are going to do a refactor, it's going to be easier, okay? And we have in the project, in the Ultras project that we was working, we have two services. One that is writing in JavaScript with Mongo, but it's a really, really small server for a specific use case, that is the users and the management of the users. And the other one is writing all in Kotlin and in Play framework, okay? Our approach. We need, in this case, we are going to write a small backend application, and we have a REST API. Okay, REST API is a lot of different things to make data and Spring Boot, but you check it, it is very, very, very easy. We don't need to have full async. Okay, we are going to have something really, really simple. For this reason, I'm not going to use solution like, for example, Webflux, because it's a reactive framework for Spring Boot that is really famous and is really good. But for this example, I don't care, because I'm going to do only small queries to databases. Okay. We are going to use clean architecture. Everybody here knows clean architecture. Okay, people that know clean architecture, the next talk is about clean architecture. It's going to explain in detail, but it's a system to create architectures, okay, to encapsulate the code. And Kotlin as main languages. I choose Kotlin because for me is the layer over Java that's going to be a really good final for me. Okay, so give me a lot of new features that is going to be good, and one that is going to be really, really, really good and really good for a part of the code. Okay, I can use the Java 12 or Java 11, something like that, but right now I think so. For the next year, Kotlin is a bit easier, a bit better for me than Java. Okay, this is my opinion. Okay, we can discuss about that. And we have used a library. It's called Arrow, but only because we are going to do a thing that is a functional data flow. Okay, we are not write functional programming, but we are going to take something that is good for the functional programming. That for me is the data, is how they manage the data, and we are going to use this one for create a better backend code. Okay, this approach I think so is really, really interesting, and it's not common to see in some backend code. And I'm going to create a bit JWT authorization. Okay, it's only for how this authorization and small things. And I remove a lot of things. I have a really big presentation, and I was removing a lot of code because I don't have time. Okay, this is more or less the architecture that we have in the backend. Okay, we have a green. Okay, this is the controllers, the best controllers, the domain. You have use cases. We're going to speak what are use cases, but are only actions that are going to happen in our domain. And we have the data access, the repositories and data sources and entities. Okay. Really, really, really simple architecture. Okay, this is the base of clean architectures. Okay, it's the dependencies, the frameworks, and all of that things. I got to create a small request example. Imagine that we have an application that we have projects, and in that project we are going to load videos. Okay, this is part of the big framework that are classes, and you have the projects, and you load the videos to that project, and you can consume, and you have users. Okay, and this is the method getProject. In the getProject, we have the controller, the project controller. We are going to have our API REST. We have the models attached to that controllers. We have our domain when we have a use case that is getProject. A use case is only an action that we can do over our domain server. Okay. And we have projects, well, it's in plural, will be in singular, and projects that are the domain model that domain the project itself. And we have the data access. Okay, we are going to have repository. Repository is a pattern, is an enterprise pattern to abstract to the data. We're going to explain a bit, and we are going to have data sources that are the providers of the information. Good. Any question until here? No. Okay. From here to the end, It's going to be more or less 20 minutes. It's going to be all code, okay? Perfect. Because I like to explain everything a bit. This is for the people that don't know anything about the Spring Boot. In the Spring Boot, it's based in generation code. You have a Spring that is a really good code independence injector, and we have a Spring Boot that is a framework to write web, okay? Web backend code in general. We have the REST controllers. You have a notation that this REST controller. I say this class is going to model a REST. Okay, have a lot of, you can have there a lot of options to have subdomains, something like that. In this case, I'm going to do really easy. This is going to generate code. This is a really good part that I like for Spring Boot, because have a lot of annotation that do for you a lot of magic. People don't like it this one. You have other ways to do it, but for me, it's perfect, because you can enter in the middle of a lot of steps in that generation of the code. Allow to you, we are going to check, allow to you a lot of possibilities to inject things, okay? And we have, for define a REST, for define a get verb, is done easy, that say the get and values. In this case, you can pass arguments, you can do receive bodies, something like that, only setting the arguments, and in the path, only setting in the path. I don't want to explain because it's something that you, in the one-on-one tutorial, you are going to find it. And we are going to do in the starting, in the how to use that. We are going to explain in the flow of the data, okay? It's a request arrive. We are going to explain how the data arrive, is modeling, is going to the database, coming back. Okay, I'm going to explain first the go away, and after that the comeback. Okay. And the first thing that is possible, a really bit strange for the people, is the kind of things. Okay. Spring for the people that don't know Spring, have an injector, and this line of here is going to be injected, okay, by the server. Okay, if you don't, it's not an interface, it's something, a class, he's going to find the class in the graph, and he's going to inject in an easy way. You don't need anything, only write some annotations. And it's going to be injected. But if you check, here is appears something that is a bit strange, okay? Is this off-time project, from this off-time project. This is a class, and this is an instance. And we are calling with the parentheses, okay? I say, this is a method, this is an object, what the hell is this one, okay? This is a possibility that calling gives us, that is we can override operators, okay? We can modify operators. And we have an operator that is really used in the command pattern, that is the invoke, okay? If you remember the command pattern, from the kind of for is, okay, I have something that is command, and have an invoke method that you can invoke. A use case is an implementation of the command pattern, and we can implement it in that way, okay? We have there, and that we have here is we have the obtain projects that override the operator invoke. And overriding the operator invoke, we use our classes, okay? We use our object like it's via function. This is really good because the code is really small, and it's really easy to read, and you know that this one is a use case. Okay? And I'm receiving this function, okay? This invoke have args. You can pass everything that you like, okay? It's an array of args. You define the args that you like. And here is a current user, okay? Don't be afraid about that, because we are going to check in the future, okay? For now, it's not important how that user appear. And that we have there, okay, is we have an annotation that is common, that is component, sorry. This is for say, I need to remove some slides about testing, but this is for say it's going to be really useful for us in the testing process. Because when you are writing end-to-end tests, and you are writing server-side tests, when are not unit, that the tests are instrumentation, and the server wake up, they have a kind of test that our MVC test that is going to inject only the minimum need code to execute the query, and it's going to mock a lot of infrastructure code. This is really good because you can write a really fast test that are more or less end-to-end, that go from the controllers to the repositories, and are really good because you can test everything in the flow. It's a very end-to-end test, but are really fast because everything is mocked. Instead the MVC, okay, instead the domain driver, okay. For this reason, we have this one. We don't use, this could be used service, but definition of service, one thing that have Spring Boot is have DDD in annotations by default. Okay, you have repository annotations, you have service annotations, you have some annotations that define that what a thing is like semantic to your code. Okay, in theory, service in the patterns in the enterprise pattern say that are operations over the models that are not in the models, are operations that modify the models. Okay, explain a bit, but this one sometimes is going to be a service, but we have a big discussion, really a small grain, okay, discussion about this is a service or not, and say, okay, we are going to use a component, and we move that discussion out. But you can use both, okay? It's going to be only for the inject and for giving semantic. And what we are going to do is we are going to invoke to the repository requesting, okay? If you check use cases only models operation over the model, and sometimes have only one line. This is not a problem. This is only semantic. If someone arrives to the project, can open the use cases and say, okay, this use case I can reuse. This get users, or this use case I can reuse. Is something, or this is made it, or something like that. Okay, and it's really easy. View the status of a project, or view what code do you have right. Repositories. The same. This is a bit. It's good in the framework, but for me it's a bit strange when I arrive because there in Spring Boot they call repositories to data source, and some repositories are not the pattern repository. For example, this project data source in theory is not a repository, and when we check it, have the repository annotation. Repository patterns say that you need to return a domain model. You need to return something in the domain, and this data source return object from the database, object from the cache, object from Mongo, object from Play, object from Postgres, only from SQLite, something like that. And this is not a repository. And we made it. We create a layer that encapsulated this one. And the only responsibility of this layer is transfer that information that comes from the database as something that goes for the domain. And this is really important because in this sample, we're going to say another example, but sometimes it's important because sometimes our domain model is a composition of different data sources. For example, I have the project, and I have classes, and I have videos, for example. It's possible that when I do a query that return a project, need to go to the projects, obtain the project, and go to the classes and obtain the classes, and compose and return like an only object. And this is that made this one. They made transparent for all solution. Okay, they made transparent for all domain where comes the project. And in many cases, we have there a cache layer. We have the project data source and the project cache data source. Okay, and we check in the Redis, and it's not in Redis, and we go to the database. but we have hidden in this layer, okay? Not in the services or in the controllers. More code. And where that we are doing, we are creating invoke to the data source, obtain the projects by the owner of the project, and create the entity. Okay, that we are doing here. If you check this line, we are going to current user map to entity. For do that, we did this a lot for mappers. That we are doing is we are using a thing called extension methods. This is a thing that have Kotlin, and I say, okay, I can have a type. In this case, is a user, and I can say, okay, I'm going to create an extension method that only works in this layer, only works in that section of the code, only works in the data source, in the data layer. It's not a property of the use for everything that user use, the user, and say, okay, it's a method that is going to map from the user to a use entity. Okay, mappers are an extension. It's a way to make an extension, but the good part that using an extension method is this only encapsulate in the layer. Okay, it's not going to be out from this layer. And we have, for example, the same in the other way, in the controllers. We have an other extension method for the controller layer that map from the domain to the controller model. Okay, in that case, for example, sometimes we flat some information to be in the JSON. Sometimes we modify the date to the. We modify, for example, sometimes we modify some dates to the format we need to send out because we are using a different date in database, a different date in the domain, a different date in the controller, things like that. Okay. And this is really good. This is the constructors of the. This is the constructor of Kotlin. Our named constructors, and really good because sometimes we have default values. Okay. We have a lot of default. Sometimes we have default values for ID, for the name, for the username, something like that. Okay, not in these cases because it's more simple, but in other cases we have some fallbacks. Okay, for example, date like now, created time, something like that. No? Created by default, and you don't need to pass. And for me, the code is really, really easy to read. And we are going to go right now to this find by owner, this code to the project data source, and this is really, really good for us in Spring. Okay, in Spring, the definition of a query to a database, you don't need annotations. You can do only with the name of the. You can do only with the name of the things. Okay, you only thing that to do. In this case, I'm using Mongo. Okay, you say this is a Mongo repository. Okay, this is the object, and this is the key. And if you like to create an operation over that, by default, you have find, you have save, you have insert, you have delete. But if you like to do something, for example, in this case, used by the owner, is you only say, okay, find by the owner. And owner is a property in the project entity. And you can do, okay, find by owner, order by this value, or find by order, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you only need to write in the name. And it's really good because this is going to generate code. And it's working with code generation. And the good part of this code in generation is you, for example, do a refactor, and in this entity, you change the name of the owner, the application is going to crash. The server is going to crash, and it's going to say, in compile time, it's going to say, okay, hey, this owner doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, I cannot resolve this query because it's not existing. Okay. For me, this is really, really good. Okay. For me, it's have this possibility that I can do a refactor and something broke is good. I can remember. Well, you can write this one with annotation as well. You have annotation for the queries, but I can remember if you change something, the query breaks as well. Okay, I need to check it. I don't know right now. But if you like to do something different, special queries like the complex queries that are going to take information from here and put there, and like ints for mixing from two tables, something like that, is a bit difficult to do with this naming, but you can do with the annotations. Okay, and these are really good things as well. That the return values could be a list, could be the value, could be a nullable object, or could be an optional. Okay, we are going to view an example that you return an optional, and we convert this. We use that optional. For example, you are searching something by ID. Could be the value, could be an optional of the value. This is good. Okay, because could be a shift or not, and you are modeling that. Okay, we obtain the information. Okay, we arrived and we have the data, and we are going to go back. And this is going to be possible, the most complex things for some people. That we are doing now here is if you check the return of this function, is either of projects, either of project error projects. People here know what is either. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. For the people that know nothing about that, they are a functional structure. Okay, they call monads. Think in monads like a design pattern, a functional design pattern. Okay, it's not like that. It's more than that, but think it like that. Okay, it's going to be new patterns, but are not patterns about construction or patterns about flow, patterns about creation, are patterns based in the data structure. Okay, and either is a data that contains a left value, a right value, but never both. Okay, if for example here, if you have a project error, you cannot have a project, and if you have a project, you cannot have a project error. Okay, you can do this one really easy. Okay, we did in the past. You can have a class with both values, constructors, static constructors, and created. Okay, but we are now using right now using arrow because it's going to give us some combination things that is going to be really useful for us. Okay, and what we do is we are going to return an either of project and errors. Okay, we are going to do a class that can contain an error, something that go wrong, or the right part is the result of the operation. Why we do that? In the past, that we are doing, people that using Spring, or you are learning Spring, the common one is throwing exceptions. For example, if the database doesn't exist or the database is down, here you throw an exception. Okay. For us, this is a bit strange because that happen is these exceptions cross all your application. It's possible that in any case you have states in the middle. We have this problem 2 days ago. We need to do something back. For example, if I created this entry in the table, I need to remove it. Or if I created something, even this failed, this remove it, and something like that. Okay, and the problem is that this exception is going to cross all your architecture and it's going to arrive to the controller. And the people creating the controllers table that is, okay, if this exception appear, I'm going to return this error, 400, 500, 400, okay? And it's a bit strange because this is crushing. And sometimes you don't know what is happening. You are broken your architecture, and you have a problem with semantic. If I give you this one, an either of project and error, and I give you this one to someone, okay, and someone is going to read my method, know that this is can fail. You say, okay, this code can fail. This code have something that could be broken. I need to manage this one. I need to do something with that error. I need to do something with the possibility of the errors, okay. And the other good part is we are going to start working right now always with the good right of the code. Thinking always in the good side, in the everything is going to good, and we are going to manage exceptions or manage error like exceptions. And remember that we here made a distinction between errors and exceptions because exceptions are something that are unusual or are something that is an exception. It's something that in the common day don't to be work or don't to be happened. For example, that the database is down. This is an exception. But the user exists or not, this is not an exception. It's something that I need to manage. This is something that is going to happen. This is part of my domain definition. I need to model that in the code. I need to model that with my types because it's a part of my response. It's a part of my domain definition, okay? And if they're explicit, it's going to be a better option. And the we are then, okay, is remember that we have here the project data source return an entity, and we have other one, an extension function that convert the entity to the domain, okay? It's the opposite to the method that I saw you. And here we have this one. What is this one, okay? I don't know if you know it, but in Kotlin, if you have a function, okay, well, it's not a function, I go to a function, but if you have here an equal and you don't have the bracket, this one, the bracket, and you do this one, okay, the last line that you have is going to be returned, okay? You don't need to write return. And what we are doing here is we are creating another one. If you have a function, okay, you have, this is a, oh, sorry. This one is a, sorry. This one is, imagine a function, okay? You have a function that the argument is other function. You can remove the parentheses and use directly the brackets, okay? I'm going to be a bit fast. And the way we're doing here is we are obtaining information, okay? We are doing this one, and if this one fails, it's going to throw an exception, okay? We are going to catch that exception. We are saying, okay, and we are model that exception like an object. Try, try logger is going to return a try. Try is an object that contains the value or an exception. And we say, okay, transfer this value or exceptions, that is the try logger, to like the thing that I like to return, that is the thing is either project error, an either. And this is to either is taking, okay, if it's an exception, I'm going to model to the error, but is this good? Because try logger, the signature is project error, is exception projects, is going to say return the project. I'm going to return either projects, okay? We are doing composition. We are doing mapping with one collection to other collection. And we only manage exception here, that is where the exception happens. And the other ones, we are manage domain objects, okay? What is a domain error? What is a project error? Project error is a select class, okay? Select class is a class that is closed. And this is going to be really, really useful because it's a class that say, okay, this is a domain error, and this extends to the domain error, okay, and contains this one. And have select classes is good enough because we are limiting the domain of our errors. For example, I know that I have by now only two kinds of errors: no found and database error, okay? And this is going to be really good when we arrive to the controllers because select classes have a really good property, okay? In the case of the domain is obtain information and return. He don't make anything, okay? In this case, it's really easy. And the controller. In the controller is the way where we arrive that box that is the either that is moving from layer to layer, and arrive to the controller. And the controller say, okay, I'm going to open this box. I'm going to open what contains this either. And if contain all right, as something that is correct, and the value, we respond and okay, and we map the data again. And if I left, okay, something wrong, we say, okay, take the information, take the error, and map to an error. And how we are mapping to an error? This to error. This to error API is a when is like a switch in other languages with asteroids, but say, okay, if when the type is dev storage, return a service unavailable. When the type is not found, send it not found. Okay, and the good this one is one that those things are domain are a data class. Sorry, are the classes. Okay, I forgot the name. I say that 1 second. Serial classes. Thank you. are sealed classes. And the sealed classes have the power, if I create a new sealed class, but I don't add it here, the compiler say, okay, this one is not complete. It's not exhaustive. You need to add this error. The compiler is forced to me to manage every error that I create in my application. This is really, really good because nobody can create a new error, a new exception that is not going to be managed. Everything is going to be managed and everything is going to be given a semantic power and semantic errors. Okay? And here we take a property, in this case is I like to add some information because when you are returning errors for the user is really good. And in our case, in the book mode, we introduce information to this domain error with information that is good enough for us. For example, the line, sometimes the log, sometimes things, and we return this one in a JSON in an easy way. Okay, our responsibilities of that models manage that information. Okay, that's going to cross the boundaries. I'm going to explain. I have two small topics. Okay, this is more or less one request that is easy. The other one is authentication. Okay. This is a thing that for me is very important in all servers, and Speedboot gives you this one in an excellent way, okay? And we did, for example, if you like to have something authorized, you only need to write the secure and the role and add in some classes with some configuration, okay? And have tons of things, have the pre-authorized, pre-filter, post-filter, post-authorized that give you the possibilities to write methods that make this really easy. But the important thing of that here, because I have a few time, is that kind of authentication. Okay, that kind of authentication is an object that you can inject, and it's going to be injected automatically with the in-generation code. And this is really good because that we did it is, I think so I don't put in black, but here is authentication get current user. Where this appear, where this information appear for this object, but how this is being injected. As I say, Spring Boot gives you a lot of points of entry in everything. And in authentication, give you a chain that is when you are obtaining the token provider, when you are checking if the provider is good enough, we are setting the roles, and we are checking the database if the user exists and if the session is valid. That you can do is, you can, the same time that you are going for the user to ask if the user is valid, if the user is good, you can take that user and inject in your context session. And in the authorization, you have the user. And you are injecting, and you are not going to do in the controllers or in the service time to time for obtain that kind of user. You obtain from outside, and you are injecting. Okay? I have 5 minutes or something like that. And this is the injection. I'm going to go fast. And this is the last one, okay? Okay, Jorge, you showed me a really easy example of get user. This is a fucking shit. This is the best scenario. This is not good enough. Okay, we are going to check another scenario. Other scenario is this use case. This is more complex. And this is for me, a bit complex with the way you need to change your mind, okay? We have a use case that is upload video. Upload video is I like to upload a video. I need to go to the project, check if the project exists, go to the storage, say to Amazon, I like to load a video, put this in a rabbit queue, that's going to take it by a server, that's going to upload in a background. I need to go to the video repository and say, okay, this is going to be upload the video. This is more or less a normal complex database flow, okay? Database, no, controller flow. We have here a problem. And the problem is we have 3 repositories and the storage. And we say that we have headers and we have optionals and we have tries of that structures that you do need to manage. The problem is I need to take one, obtain the information, and take other one and obtain the information and all that things. When you start to write this code, this is a mesh because you start to having tons of flat maps. And I need to obtain this information, do a flat map. Flat map is like obtain the one header, another header, and combine a bit, and you are flattening. And this is a mess because the code is impossible to read. Okay. A good thing, this is in a Scala resolved with for comprehensions, and here that you have is it's a possibility with coroutines in Kotlin. This is a really good possibility of Kotlin that everything is suspended. Everything is a coroutine. You can need that every method is suspended. And this is going to be really used because we are going to have a block that is binding. That we are going to do is have code like that. For example, the first one I'm going to check if the video is good. Like, for example, the length is not 0, the name is correct, and something like that. Okay? And I validate it. I call to a function or a use case that is the new bit, validate the new video. And here, let's say, okay, this is bad, I return a left and a bind. Okay? I'm going to explain what is the bind, but I return the error, the video format error. I need to return to the controller, and the controller manage. But for example, here, I need to check if the project exists. See, the project doesn't exist, I need to return a 4. Yeah, okay. This is the last one, okay? And here, that I need to do is I update the project. The same is an override of get, okay? And I have here a bind. What is a bind? The bind is going to do, execute this one. If this one doesn't return, this method return an either of an auction, okay? If the database fail or something fails, if the either fail is a left, break everything. Stop here and go out. If not, continue. If continue, this is return an optional. I say, okay, not fine, but continue. It doesn't exist, continue. And this is going to return the project. And here, the same. This one is going to say, if it's not the correct way, if it's not the correct flow of the way, you are going to move it out. You are going to break it. I don't put here, but it's techniques to recover. For example, imagine that I first add the photo to the repository and after that send to the to-do load. And this fails because, for example, the rabbit is down. I need to recover that error. And this is ways to recover from that kind of structures, okay? But as you say, this is a pretty a mess. It's not good enough have this knowledge, understand how the binding works, how the can works, and go out to the flat maps. Okay, this is more or less my talk. I don't have, I think so. I don't know if I have time, but this is more or less everything. I like to talk about how we are working, how we are using Spring, how we are using Kotlin, and how we're going to mixing all together, and a bit of functional for doing the things are really bitty as small. Okay. I don't know if we have time for questions.
No, I think just one question.
Okay. If not, I'm going to be here all day. You can grab me and take me and maybe questions.
Question, the one?
Do you understand? Okay.
So what is the rotate that you say?
The pro things.
Well, the bad things.
The bad things.
Yeah.
The bad thing is this one. Okay. Arrive to this solution is not easy. You need to know a bit about functional programming and about how the framework works and how to go out from that kind of out. The other one is I cannot say it. The other one is the iteration, the testing and calling. Testing and calling. If you like to do, for example, properties-based testing, it's not working. The iteration is not good right now. For me, this is something that we are trying to fix. And some bits like the data sources sometimes it doesn't work like I expected, but work really well when you understand. Because I understand it's a repository, but it's not a repository, it's a data source. But I am really, really happy. I come from working with Play Framework, and for me it's best that Play Framework because it gives a lot of things. And before I was working in Django for backend, I prefer calling that Python for big projects. But yes, for me the best problem is the functional way. When you started working in a functional way, it's really, really complex to understand that things. But for me, the semantic that you obtain is amazing.
But did you use Play with Kotlin or just with Scala?
We use Play with Scala and Play with Kotlin. We have an article in the blog talking about Play in Kotlin because we need to do a lot of infrastructure tool in Gradle for have everything running. For example, Ter running, Kotlin running, things that because it doesn't work in SVT. But yes, work well.
Okay, we're running out of time, so thank you, Jorge.
Yeah, welcome.